This video discusses 7 websites that can help the student study more efficiently. The first one is Wikipedia. Wikipedia can introduce the student to a topic. It is a tertiary source and should not be cited. The article I have here on progressive dispensationalism illustrates the problem with Wikipedia. It needs further documentation. Nevertheless, graphics are available that can illustrate and introduce a student to the topic. Furthermore, a bibliography is usually available at the bottom, which can lead to sources which the student can cite. The second source is Amazon. Amazon is one of the strongest book search engines on the internet, and you can find a variety of sources available there. Also, Amazon makes available samples. Students can take a look at the table of contents, read the first few pages of a book, and become familiar to see if that source is even going to be helpful for their research purposes. Students can then find the book in our library or request it through interlibrary loan. This can save the student a lot of time. If a source is acquired through interlibrary loan, but then is not relevant or helpful, then they've wasted a lot of time. The third site is Google. Besides just doing a Google search, there are also Google Books available. The source that I've selected here is Seeking Out the Wisdom of the Ancients. Many academic titles have greater previews that are available through Google Books. For example, this book has 109 pages available. You can search inside of the book, view the table of contents, see what articles are being addressed, request a specific article through interlibrary loan, or acquire the book for yourself. So, Google Books. The fourth site is ChatGPT AI. You can use whatever version of AI that you would like, but particularly for beginning research, you can ask various questions like, what are the 4 best commentaries on the Gospel of John? You can then get the AI response, which can begin your research. You could also ask, what are the 3 main Christian views on the atonement? The problem is maybe there's 4 or 5. But AI is a great source to begin your research. It is like a research assistant. It gives you some of the tools, but you have to learn and think for yourself. Don't just accept anything. For example, as I look at this list, I would pick Carson. That would be one of the sources that I would strongly encourage you to consult. Michaels is pretty good as well. Keener is decent. Ritterbos would not have been in my list. Another source that you can go to is bestcommentaries.com. Bestcommentaries.com does exactly that. It seeks to give you the best commentaries. Let's look at John. Notice that Carson is at the top, and then Keener, and then Morris. Morris was not mentioned in the previous list. A larger, more comprehensive list is listed here. You have Kostenberger listed at number 4. It has been withdrawn because of plagiarism, but it is still acknowledged as a very good source. If we move to a different book of the Bible, let's say Romans, we see Doug Moo and Cranfield and Schreiner. BestCommentaries.com also lists new and notable resources. Because they're new, they haven't had many ratings yet. BestCommentaries.com is kind of like a peer-reviewed, what's the best commentary that other people think is the best type of a source. So you have Douglas Moo's commentary on Romans. That's a 1996 printing. However, it was updated in 2018. The better one to cite and to consult would be the 2018 printing. Similarly with Schreiner. This is the 98 printing, whereas Schreiner was updated in 2018 as well. So just because it's at the top doesn't necessarily mean that is the one that you should cite. Newer books are going to generally have a lower rating because not as many people have cited them. Nevertheless, if you are doing a research paper on Romans and you're citing, let's say, William G.T. Shedd, well, You can cite Shed, and Shed would be fine, but you also need to be using some of these better ones that are at the top of the list. Bestcommentaries.com is also helpful because it has specific tags. For example, the E stands for evangelical, S stands for scholarly or semi-technical, and this S stands for a specialty study. What I wanted to note is the L here. This is Lutheran. For example, if you're studying through baptism in Romans chapter 6, you may want to get the Lutheran interpretation. The Concordia commentary here would be a primary source that you would want to acquire, even though it's rated much lower on the best commentaries list. Okay, so the sixth site is openlibrary.org. Openlibrary.org is part of archive.org. I'm going to do a search for the Tosefta. The Tosefta is a Jewish commentary, essentially. And here I can borrow the book. Notice with archive.org, I'm looking at the actual book. So if I was to cite this book, I would cite it as a book. I would not cite it as a website that I pulled from archive.org. I would cite this as page 66 of the Tosefta by Neusner. Archive.org is super helpful because you are looking at actual books, so then you cite them as actual books. The last site is our library's website. So you can go to our library's website, I believe the easiest, by going to faith.edu/library. It's just faith.edu/library. Here it takes you to all of the information. Click on Library Resources. You can search our online catalog. Find various resources that are available, and then you can go over and find that actual source in our physical library. If you are not present, like if you are an online student, our library also has books available as ebooks. For example, one textbook that my students have to use for one of my classes is Cracking Old Testament Codes. This is available through EBSCOhost, and you can find that through our library. Additional resources are available through our library. You can find the access point for open access journals, and then particularly EBSCOhost. Click on EBSCOhost Web, and then you can do a search for whatever you are studying. If you are an off-campus student, then you will need to gain access to EBSCOhost and some of these other resources available through our library using access codes. Those access codes can be found through Canvas. When you log into Canvas, using your faith.edu email, you'll see Help and Resources. Click on this link. Patton Library Resources. Click on that link. And then here are the login information. Here's the login information for EBSCOhost, Gale Resources, and so on and so forth. I want you to find this link and find this information. This information will change, so you need to be able to find it year by year. So again, I'm going to just navigate to it again. Help and Resources, Patton Library Resources, and then here it is. If this screen is not coming up, it may be because you are using a personal Gmail account. To log into it, you need to log out of all of your email accounts, log into just your faith.edu email, and then this should populate for you.